Hi there, welcome to Terrorland Soap Opera. Today I'm going to do a reading for Gemini energy. And like usual on this channel, we're going to do two rows. The top row I refer to as high vibe Gemini, the bottom row a more worldly, shadowy Gemini. We all have our dualistic nature and we can battle within ourselves. As people could be moving forward in their life, the bottom row can just represent fears and insecurities that we have. And as we move forward in life and other people are moving forward in life, we could be at different emotional maturity levels. You could view yourself as harnessing these energies in a more high vibrational way, and you could view some other people who, in their own way, are moving forward, but you could view them as not having learned some lessons that you've learned in life. The bottom row, again, can kind of represent things that manipulate us, which can be our lust, our greed, our pride, our ego, our lazy nature, living more from our mind than our heart, our defensive nature, whatever. And so you could feel that way towards some people. Those people in turn could feel that way towards some people. So it is kind of relative. Just listen to your intuition about how you harness your Gemini energy as we go through this and how other people do. And some people could know the bottom row can kind of represent our comfort zone, and some people would maybe like to move forward in life a little differently, but again, they have to work through some of these issues of things that maybe manipulate them. Sometimes if we move forward a little bit differently, other people aren't going to move forward with us, other people aren't going to like it, and people got to deal with all of those things. And then Gemini is air sign energy of the mind, but it's also about what we love, kind of where our heart is, what we're emotionally invested in. And some people do harness a more worldly, shadowy Gemini nature, where I'm more about me, or I'm more about the world, or I'm more about things I want to indulge in. Love maybe isn't a priority. Some people don't even want to do love. You get hurt doing love. I'd rather indulge in relationships and really not do love. I don't want to see the truth that it should be about love. I want to be in it for all these other reasons. And then there are people in the world who are motivated and inspired by love. And they want to be in, you have to come out from behind your ego. And the bottom row can represent our ego nature in order to, be more authentic, be more just, be more fair. You can be motivated by love, but you still have got a lot of shadowy ways of being that make it hard for people to want to be in a relationship. Okay. Let's go look at the bottom row first. We all tap into Gemini energy because it is about what our truth is, what we love. Kind of talks about what we think is just and fair about how to go about things. And the reason for the bottom row's reading is the Nine of Cups, which the Nine of Cups can be that, we have these things that we want to invest in that we think would be emotionally fulfilling. And so we've done that at different stages of our life, right? And some people are doing that right now. And we have the Two of Pentacles, the Three of Pentacles, and the Judgment card. If some people are in job, friendships, or relationships, that they're still willing to try to work things out with those people. And if it's a job, a friendship, or relationship, the Two of Pentacles can be that people are trying to maintain balance within themselves and in the relationship to keep moving forward, and they have decided, like in the Judgment card, that I'm still happy living my life this way, or hanging out with these people or this job, and I'm going to keep doing it. And it's kind of like we are where we're at, and we'll keep living our life a certain way until the reason for the top row's reading is the Seven of Swords, which is Aquarius energy. Both Aquarius and the Nine of Cups, which is Pisces, they can both talk about what our dreams are of what we would like to envision our life like, in a way. We'll keep living our life at a phase of life until we kind of start to have some mental conflict about that situation. And, then we would probably communicate with some people in our life that, I like this too, I like you, or I like this job. However, then we have the hangman starting out at the top row, which can be about feeling stuck. And part of that can be that it's great to live our life at any of the different phases of life that we've been at. We were 18, we were 21, we were 25. We live our life a certain way, but some people are motivated to kind of keep growing and healing and maturing themselves. And, if we keep repeating a certain pattern in a phase of life, and it doesn't seem like we're ever kind of giving birth to anything new, it could seem that we kind of keep doing the same thing and make that judgment call to just keep doing things the way we've been doing it. And other people emotionally, because the Nine of Cups is emotional water sign energy, and this is Pentacle energy, so it could have, say, it's a job. Pentacles can represent these things in the 3D world, but it can also be friendships or relationships. Can I like those things and like those people? Yes. But the Nine of Cups kind of talks about there's only a maximum of 10 in every suit of the deck. And so when we kind of are getting to the nines, is kind of that opportunity. Are we willing to kind of listen to our intuition and work through some mental conflict we have about maybe looking at life a little differently in the hangman? And that also is Pisces energy of expanding our perception of ourselves and the world around us and how we view ourselves, how we view others, what we think is just and fair, what we believe is possible. And it's just like, did we like being 18 years old? Yeah. Did we want to stay that way forever? No. You kind of live through that phase of life, and hopefully during that phase of life, hopefully emotionally, you kind of grow and mature yourself. And even though there can be a lot of things we like about it, and stability or security is what the Pentacles can talk about, I'm ready to kind of become independent of this stage or phase of life. I would like maybe some of the people to move forward with me. It'd be nice if we all kind of move forward together. We just kind of maybe become independent of some habits or patterns, because it's like when you're going to move forward in life, you kind of have to look at the building blocks that you've been working with, and the habits and the vices and the patterns and things you indulge in and attitudes and all those things. And you kind of need to look at what are the good building blocks to take with me, and kind of seeing the truth, because the truth sets us free, of what are some of the things that maybe I should let go of. So that kind of makes me think of this Bible verse that says something along the line like, when I was a child, I thought like a child, I spoke like a child, basically kind of reasoned like a child. And when I grew up, I put away my more childish ways of viewing life. So at every one of these stages of life, is there good things we've learned and good ways of viewing life and living life and habits and patterns and attitudes that will be beneficial things to take with us, but maybe some of the other things to call judgment on it. That phase of life is over, thinking or behaving or indulging in certain things. If I want this dream to come into reality, I need to see the truth of that. And, some people could have more mental conflict about that than some other people. And we all at different phases of our life are kind of ready to move forward in life differently. And some people are like, no way, man, I still want to keep doing this. And I still might have some mental conflict about seeing the truth, because the hangman can talk about being illuminated to the truth. And Aquarius can be kind of looking at life from a higher perspective and maybe having more hope and faith and belief in yourself or in others or in love, or um, maybe having more foresight of, looking to the future, where some people are like, that's not even on my radar, maybe. I want to just keep doing this. And so sometimes we could have mental conflict because we would like to move forward in life differently. Some other people don't. Well, then what do we do? What if we're in a job, a friendship, or relationship? And, that's where over time we could start to feel like it's not fair in a way. Like, it's high vibe energy is, treating other people the way you like to be treated, being just and fair, and maybe kind of feeling that, we're having to indulge someone in a way that we could feels kind of imbalanced. Like, it's not just and fair. And, we can't change other people, and everybody has the free will to live their life the way they want. And ultimately the only person that we can change is ourself. And we go from here, the Three of Pentacles, up here to the Eight of Pentacles, and the difference is the Five of Pentacles. And the Five of Pentacles, the fives can talk about change. So again, the only person I can change is me. And I need to get out of my ego. That's a big thing about getting out of the ego, about seeing the truth that everybody has their way of living life and viewing life. And the Five of Pentacles is Taurus, which can be about people's philosophy of life. Again, some people are happy living their life the way they live it. Some people could be more emotionally invested in the world. Both the Two of Pentacles and the Three of Pentacles is Capricorn energy, which can, just being a pentacle suit, can kind of represent the world. Capricorn is earth sign energy. Up here, we have Taurus. Oh, the difference is Taurus, but this is Virgo. And that's all three of the earth sign energies, and for Capricorn, Taurus, and Virgo. And Virgo also, like Pisces, helps us transition out of phases of life, kind of looking at the philosophy of life that we had, and was it just and fair for us to maybe live our life a certain way that we did? Yes, because that's where we were at. That was our emotional maturity level. It's how we viewed life. But then as we go through a phase of life, we don't stay the same. Some people could, you know? It's a free will choice. Gemini is about our free will choice to kind of, are you even kind of inspired within yourself to, what's your dream? And some people could be like, I wanted to do this all my life. It's like, did you never want to kind of, high vibe energy is being more independent of some things that you could be more codependent on, which can be friends, family, your job, the world, your ego, your defensive nature, your self-indulgent nature. And some people are like, why would I want to give up any of those things? Those things all make me happy. And again, other people could like some of those things too, but they just feel like, again, nothing changes. And Virgo energy is kind of about doing this inner work to kind of work through why we feel stuck. If I do like my job, my friendships, my relationships, what is it that's kind of maybe causing me some mental conflict and making me feel stuck? Like, what is it that I don't want to blame other people. It could just be something within myself. So then people could do this work within themselves to want to get to the truth. Virgo in high vibe is about getting to the truth here. We have the Magician, which is Gemini and Virgo. I have these things I want to manifest. If I feel stuck in a situation and I'm going to do this work within myself, so I might quit investing in things that I used to maybe more emotionally indulge in to more emotionally invest in trying to work through this mental conflict and get clear about what my truth is. And maybe even get clear, because a magician can talk about things that manipulate us. And partly, sometimes we can feel stuck and have mental conflict. But, sometimes we can be in friendships or relationships with people. And we could be kind of, it's not maybe overt, it could be kind of subtle. That we kind of feel like we are being manipulated. But we could have mental conflict about kind of seeing the truth of it. And part of having some mental conflict about seeing the truth of it is, again, in this Five of Pentacles of Taurus, we have this philosophy of life and this way of viewing life and way of working together with other people, that in our way of viewing life and our philosophy of life, we could kind of think it's just and fair in a way. and it kind of could challenge our philosophy of life and our belief system. But there too, we could be dealing with people who, the pentacles can also be kind of like lessons that we've learned. And, we can get in a certain stage of life and be working with certain people. But maybe during that stage of life, other people did kind of work through some of these issues over the course of that time. Things that they, Virgo energy can talk about these things that we kind of work on privately. They're just things within ourselves. And it's not like telling everyone, oh, I've had some self-limiting beliefs, or I've had some past pain and heartbreak, or I've had, whatever, these things that manipulate me. It's not stuff we necessarily broadcast to other people. It's stuff that we kind of do just behind the scenes. And some people, that comes naturally to them. That when they kind of notice that, I've been kind of going back and forth about something, and whatever that is kind of stops me from kind of moving forward in life the way I would like to. And I don't like feeling like I have these things within me that kind of manipulate me, how I think and feel about things, how I view myself, blah, blah, blah. And so then they could kind of work through those things. And someone who does that would probably assume that other people, we've all got our shadow nature. We've all got some fears, some insecurities, some past pain and heartbreak, some self-limiting beliefs and things like that. And we could assume that other people kind of work on that also. But that is a free will choice to do that. You have to, again, kind of be inspired within yourself to want to see the truth and work through some of those things. And the truth is, some people don't want to. Now, yes, I got my issues. Yes, I got my past pain and heartbreak. Yes, I got my self-limiting beliefs. But people can free willingly say, I don't want to be enlightened to the truth. If I contributed to some of those things that bother me, I don't want to see the truth of my part I played that could be part of those problems that bother me. If other people were the cause of some of those issues within me, I don't want to see the truth about those people. Weak, shadowy energy can be, I choose to stay in denial of the truth, or flat out reject the truth. And some people, like I say, they made the decision somewhere in their life that I'm more emotionally invested in the world or being about themselves. or looking to other things to make them happy, not love. And this being the Seven of Swords, I kind of view the sevens as kind of the tipping point. You either work through some of those issues to kind of free yourself from some of those things, or you could keep staying in mental conflict and maybe just keep juggling and going back and forth, is what the Two of Pentacles can talk about. And, you know, a more shadowy energy could be where people are kind of in a more scattered energy. Oh, I'm caught up in this, and now this is what drives and motivates me. And then, oh, well, now I'm kind of caught up in this, and now that's what drives and motivates me. And high vibe energy is getting balanced within yourself, kind of realizing, we have like the four elements to deal with: our heart, our mind, our 3D nature, and our creative passion nature, the four suits of the deck. I can be jumping back and forth and doing all these different things at different times in my life, and it just kind of whatever aspect of myself I decide to indulge more of myself in, because that's how I think and feel at the time. High vibe energy is kind of getting more, learning how to master in the magician these different elements. Typically in a normal like Rider Waite magician card, they have the four suits of the deck: the sword, the water, the wand, the pentacle. Learning how to work with all of those things in a balanced way, so we don't become a slave to our emotions or our lust or our greed or our defensiveness or our fearful nature. Being human beings who live in the world, there is a lot of things in the world that we can get caught up in that we could be sure is going to make us happy. If that's, I want to be more about me, that can be shadowy energy, kind of just more about me, more indulging me. It has to be more about me. And there's some people who are like that. And then they just want other people to get in a relationship with them, agree, and indulge them being more about themselves. And there's other people who are like, the most important thing are these things of the world I want to indulge in. That's more important than love. That's more important than me growing and maturing myself. That's more important than me tempering my ego nature, or money or materialism or whatever. And we need to see the truth of it. And if you're someone who's kind of more aligned with having more hope and faith and belief and love, it can be hard with some of these people that we know, from being in our family to people we grew up with since we were children to people we meet as we're older. It's kind of hard for us to accept that truth about some people, because we kind of can't understand why we could think everybody would pick love. But for some people, that really can cause them a lot of mental conflict and fear, because they run the risk of getting hurt. And shadowy energy can be, I want to hide behind my defensive egoic nature. I don't want my more hopeful, believing, vulnerable nature to go out in the world. They get hurt. So that aspect of myself has to look out through the eyeballs, while my ego nature and my self-protective, defensive nature kind of runs my life. But eventually, we go on enough life experiences and kind of get in these more mismatched relationships, and we can tell they're either more about themselves, more about the ego or the image of things, more about indulging in things. And we could just feel like, again, our philosophy of life is different, our truth is different, what kind of drives and motivates us, and our long-term goals and what's important to us is different. And that's when some people kind of had to do this work within themselves to accept the truth. And they probably also worked on some of these things while they were in it, which could have made them look at life differently than they had when they started a job, a friendship, or a relationship. and they did kind of work through some issues that no longer manipulated them to the way they used to. And it could just be growing up and maturing themselves, working through some fears and insecurities or something. And then they kind of popped out. They're at a different energy, and kind of the things that they could have detached from their more codependent nature, being more caught up in the world, could have gotten more balanced or, connected in with their emotions. Here we have Pentacles. This represents all three of the water signs: Pisces, Cancer, and Scorpio. And so if we were more caught up in the world, which I think we all, even if you're a loving person, for the first 30, 50 years of our life, we're pretty caught up in the world because there's all these things, initially, maybe when we're younger, that we want to go indulge in and go experience. But there's also things in the world that we're focused on that we want to manifest, our education, job, career, friendships, relationships, marriage, or family. And it can take, till later in our life that we kind of are less inspired and manipulated more by those things of the world. The Page of Pentacles can represent all three of the earth signs: Capricorn, Virgo, and Taurus. And we are kind of more, do I still want some of these things in the world? Do I want a job, friendships and relationships, or marriage or whatever? Yeah. But not just any job, friendship, relationship, or marriage, I've kind of, as I've gone on this journey in life, and, we come in contact with all these different people to help us get more clear about what our truth is and our truth isn't, and to see that everybody has these different philosophies of life, and everybody has these different things that they like to invest their time, energy, and effort into, and what they find emotionally fulfilling versus what we would like to invest our time, energy, and effort into, and what we find emotionally fulfilling. And we could have gotten ourselves, and we could have even been born into families, or neighborhoods or communities, states or countries where we're kind of more mismatched. And then later we could think, I want some of these things of the world, but, if it's not more manifesting in Gemini, which is the Magician card, aligned with my truth in my Virgo nature, since the Magician is Virgo and Gemini. I have my truth and my long-term goals and my long-term plans. And in high vibe, it would be, I do want to keep kind of growing and healing and maturing myself. I don't want shadowy energy, can be where you kind of get stuck in stagnant, dead energy. Well, I had a dream, but in order to bring that dream into reality, I have to listen to my intuition, which is kind of the Two of Swords in the Seven of Swords, and connect in with my emotions and my intuition. And I have to kind of love and believe in myself. And I have to get out of my more codependent energy and being more manipulated by these things of the world that I want, to listen more to my intuition and love and believe in myself. That when my intuition tells me that the situations that I'm in, their truth is different, their dream is different, to kind of love and believe in myself enough to kind of speak my truth in love to people in my life, that I don't want to keep repeating a certain pattern or a way of living life. I want to manifest a dream. Is that your truth? Is that not your truth? And some of those people will be like, no, you can go. This is, at whatever stage of life they're at. And then we might go through a period of kind of feeling left out in the cold, but that can be a time period for us to, again, put in this work and effort to invest in ourselves, love ourselves, get clear about, what is my truth? What do I find emotionally fulfilling? What do I not find emotionally fulfilling? And kind of like, I'm not going to give up on my dreams. And as you do that, you get out of feeling left out in the cold, because you maybe could have felt kind of out in the cold and had started to feel out in the cold in some of those situations when you were in them to begin with. And if those people, this isn't their truth, to be more independent, both High Vibe Virgo and Leo, High Vibe Virgo and the Nine of Cups of Pisces can be about being more independent. You might know some people that are more codependent, might be a little more stubborn or prideful, that shadowy hangman, refuse to look at life differently. They have their way of living life and viewing life, and if you're not willing to make your life and stay stuck with them because they don't plan on changing their viewpoint in life or ever become more independent of a certain way of living life, then you can go, and you just kind of realize as time goes by that it's kind of like, I kind of view the Page of Cups as eventually getting to a point where, you know, it's like, hey, you do you. That's not my truth. I can't do that. And again, offering love to yourself to work through your mental conflict, but to keep moving forward and not repeating old patterns. We can get out of one job, friendship, or relationship, and we could go get in another relationship that's just like that to a degree, or somewhere on the spectrum of it. But if we don't want to be in relationships where it's more about being in the relationship more for these reasons of the world, where people are like, well, you should get in the relationship with me and stay in the relationship. Don't you want to be in a relationship? Well, then I'll be in a relationship with you. You should stay in a relationship with me. It's like, well, I don't want to be in a relationship just to be in a relationship. Some people do. And kind of like, or you should, if you want these things, you should stay stuck here anyway, just because you want these things. It's like, so I'm going to stay maybe somewhere where people could be very immature, very manipulative, very prideful, very stubborn, very self-indulgent, lack self-discipline in some regard. No, I think I'll go look for a different job, a different friend, a different relationship, And, some people can kind of be full of themselves and, you know, they have their way of viewing life. They have all the things that manipulate them. So therefore, that's how they view life. They equally think those things should manipulate you the way it manipulates them. And it's like, those things don't manipulate me that way. You're really kind of either, for some of the people, you could find them really too caught up in the world, look to the world to define their worth and value, all about their ego or their image, and kind of like they doing all these things so people view them a certain way. But that can be where it seems like it's more calculated, people living more from their mind than their heart. Do you even live your more authentic life? Do you even invest in the things that you'd really like to do? And some of those people aren't, because their truth could be, I need to work with these things of the world. The most important thing is that people view me a certain way or whatever. And, I'm willing to sacrifice my truth and my dreams, because what if my truth and my dreams are things that people in my friend group or family or the world kind of isn't their cup of tea in some way. Well, they're not willing to be more independent and kind of stand up for themselves so they can make their life more about just conforming to the world. So what did some people work through, and what are some people working through right now that might, when they find themselves in those situations? The Ace of Cups, the Ten of Cups, the Page of Swords, the Eight of Cups, the Three of Wands, and the Seven of Swords. Well, again, when we're in a situation with some people, you know, in the Ace of Cups and the Ten of Cups, they could be people that were in our family, people we had been friends with long term, people that we thought were going to be in our life long term, wanted to maybe marry. That's kind of like the Ten of Cups can kind of represent all those different things. But we could have also wanted to be in relationships with people in the Page of Swords, which can represent all three of the air signs, Libra, Aquarius, and Gemini, that have that more hopeful believing spirit. Having some hope and faith and belief in themselves, in others, and in love. And we wanted them in the Eight of Cups to, move forward with us. With this Three of Wands, kind of like Pisces and Aquarius, is again that we have this dream, but we have to take inspired action to kind of bring that dream into reality. We have to see the truth. So again, in the Seven of Swords, usually in a Rider-Waite deck, the Seven of Swords person is holding the Five Swords, and the 5, the 6, and the 7 are all Aquarius energy. So we have a dream, we get in some type of job, friendship, or relationship with people. Well, in order to kind of bring that dream into reality, we might initially, everybody kind of move forward to kind of get to know each other better, is kind of what the Six of Swords can talk about. But then to move forward to the next stage, kind of is our truth the same? I have my truth and my dream, and if mine in all three of my air sign energy, of my Libra, Aquarius, and Gemini, and emotionally in my Cancer, Scorpio, and Pisces, I'm more motivated and inspired to be in relationships. We put in work and effort to have balance in our life, but more driven because of truth and love and justice and fairness and all those good things. But the other person, their truth could be different. It's like, I want to maybe move forward with you, and I want to be in a relationship with you or marry you or have you stay at this job, but I'm more for these other reasons. That's more the driving factor. Well, in your Gemini nature, your truth, the reason why you get in, stay in, and think people should be in it is different. And it could be like, well, if someone isn't more independent of their shadow nature, of their more self-protective, defensive nature in a way to love, how am I going to have a more emotionally fulfilling relationship? I need to be in a relationship with people who have been illuminated to the truth and put in that work and effort to work through their fears and insecurities, to let go of their being more aligned with their worldly nature, to have more hope and faith and belief emotionally, to manifest from truth and love. And so the people that found themselves or in that situation, again, could have been communicating their truth to the people in their life that they would like to move forward with them. But as they're trying to move it forward, what they maybe weren't seeing the truth of is that some people in their life are hiding, with these cards not showing himself, that they kind of harness these energies differently. That they would like to be in a long-term, maybe relationship with people also. But again, in all three of their air sign energies, they're kind of more not inspired to become independent. Their truth is what they're happy about is aligning with their more worldly nature. But if people that they could be in to be in a relationship with other people who are more on the same page as them, maybe those people call judgment on them and aren't in a relationship with them. So then they could move forward with people who are kind of more motivated and inspired by truth and love. But it causes a mental conflict because that's not their truth. And so then eventually, everybody can kind of feel stuck in the situation because it's a more mismatched relationship. Can people like each other and have love for each other and all that? But, it's just like, say you're someone who, to some degree, say it's just, it could be on any level of the extreme, but it could be for people who, oh no, I never want to have any alcohol drinks in my life. And the other people are like, I'm not a big drinker, but I wouldn't mind maybe on a hot day after mowing that I could sit down and have a beer, or going out to eat that I could have a glass of wine. And, the other people could have mental conflict with that. Well, they're kind of on a, and everybody has the free will to live their life whatever way they want. Other people could be, high vibe energy can be more balanced and moderation, that life is to be enjoyed, but to be enjoyed in moderation. And then there can be some people, it's like, no, I need more money, I need more status, I need more attention, I need to indulge in these things more, I need it to be more about me. And they kind of have a problem with some moderation in maybe different areas. And again, some people want to be able to be more immature. And if they've had people in their life that kind of indulge them in their more immature nature and ways of being, that's the kind of relationships they want to be in. And if they get in more just or fair or balanced relationships where they kind of have to maintain more balance within themselves, and it's kind of like, you're not kind of going to more indulge me? You mean I can't be more stubborn or prideful or bossy or controlling or self-indulgent? And the more balanced people in their life would be like, no, I would have mental conflict about it if you did that. I view that. I don't understand why you would think that is just and fair, but for some people, they really do. And eventually, they don't want to keep moving forward in those relationships. It doesn't matter how just and fair and loving and encouraging those people are. If it requires them to temper themselves or kind of grow up and mature themselves or be more just or fair, and that's not really the truth of who they are, eventually they're going to have a problem, staying in the relationship. So all we can do is, high vibe people aren't trying to manipulate and control people. They would tell people the truth. I do want to work together with you. I don't like these things, just like, everybody has to be willing to, I guess decide if everybody kind of has to maybe let go where it can't be more of the things that they want. If you're going to work together for a common goal, everyone has to maybe be willing to compromise some things that maybe they wouldn't compromise if they weren't in a relationship. Well, if that's too much and that's not your truth, or looking for someone where maybe they don't feel like that's anything that needs to be let go of in their life either, then you just need to find someone else who's more on that same page. But it might not be me. And everybody could have some mental conflict about it. But if we kind of look at life differently, and if we have different things and that we want, that we think are more aligned with our truth, or, sometimes relationships, even friendships and, whatever, don't last forever. And I think if we try to focus on how we could have been loving and encouraging and supportive to people and to each other, maybe that helped us all worked through some mental conflict and worked through some issues that had us stuck. But then once we do that, and maybe we're ready to move forward, that's when it can be, I don't know if this is still my truth, you know? If everybody were to handle it well and be truthful and authentic, it causes less maybe mental conflict. But it can always be hard to tell people, and maybe the younger people are, the less they maybe communicate those things. And hopefully as people get older, they kind of learn the importance of communicating those things with the people in their life so that, you can have a clear conscience that you were truthful and authentic and treated other people the way you like to be treated. And I think, when we're more immature, or people who are currently more immature, if they definitely are more about the world and their ego and their image, they could even act more stubborn, quit investing in people, kind of turning their back on people in order to get other people to leave. And then they can just say, well, that person left. But really, it wasn't aligned with their truth. They just didn't want to illuminate the truth that, if I'm in a relationship with someone who requires me to be more just, fair, balanced, loving, authentic, and I don't really like to do that, I don't want to tell people that, because the main thing they have to offer people is not being truthful and authentic and loving. What they have to offer people is maybe more of their status and their image, or, so it's more important to try to maintain that status in the world. And, if they start doing kind of more shadowy things in a relationship, the other people don't understand it, it causes a mental confusion. They would maybe like it to work, but the other person maybe isn't willing to communicate with them or tell them the truth, and eventually people kind of work through it. It's like, apparently, if you were interested in working together with me more cooperatively to bring this dream into reality, you would. And since you don't, and even if I don't understand why, I don't think this is just and fair. And I could feel like, again, somebody's being kind of shadowy and I'm kind of having to indulge them. And I don't think that's just and fair. That might be your idea of the dream life, but that's not my idea of the dream life. And so I think the more high vibe people are, they're not more manipulated by their ego and their image. I'm going to stand up for my truth. And if I think somebody's being more immature or more stubborn or seems to have mental conflict with love or is more prideful or more about the ego and the image of it, I can only do what I can do. And then when that doesn't seem to, that's not how they want to operate with people, then I accept the truth of it. I get out of my ego about it and I move on. I accept the truth, that their truth is different than my truth. So what's coming out for some people who harness some high vibe Gemini energy? There could be other people that you're, you could be in relationships, marriages, friendships. This could just be other people that, we all kind of have to deal with in our life. But if it wasn't that, you could have left some job, friendship, or relationship because you felt stuck. And even after being authentic and truthful and trying to work with people, eventually you realize that's not their truth. You're not going to invest in them anymore. You wish them peace and you're going to go invest in your truth and probably have some people in your life who are on that same page with you, and those are the people you're going to focus your time, energy, and effort on, and not the people who don't seem to be interested in working together with you in that way. And listening to your intuition as you move forward. And if there was some people in your life who were trying to manipulate you, you know, when we're in a relationship, we have the free will choice in our Gemini nature to treat other people the way we like to be treated and treat them in a just and fair way. But some people, you know, that's not how they want to get along with people. And so they could have done some deceptive and manipulative and stubborn and prideful, immature, self-indulgent things. The other people saw the truth of it, and the other people are standing up for themselves. That's kind of harnessing your Aquarius energy differently. And you have your truth and your idea of the dream life. I have my truth, my idea of the dream life, and they're different. So then some of the shadowy people could feel stuck. They could have been happy in the relationship. They just never thought the loving people in their life who had kind of been indulging them in some poor behavior. And employers can do that to employees in a workplace. And employees can kind of do that to an employer. But eventually, you know, it's kind of like Judgment Day, where people work through the emotional confusion and see if you were motivated to work together with me in a more just and fair way, you would. And you don't. And I see the truth of it. No more illusions. And then the shadowy people could feel stuck because they really did want to be in friendship or relationship with them. They just kind of kept thinking people would indulge them, and eventually people are like, I'm done indulging you. What's coming up for the high vibe people they might not see coming? The Six of Pentacles and the Two of Pentacles. Why? Because of the Two of Cups. So, because of love, the high vibe people, from the Nine of Cups down to the Two of Cups, is letting go of the Seven of Cups, which can be people who do try to emotionally confuse you, trying to create the illusion that they're this in the Six of Pentacles of Taurus and the Two of Pentacles of Capricorn. Oh no, we're in a friendship or relationship or job. I'm going to do equal give and take with you, but they keep juggling the truth. And they could keep going back and forth. If it really was the truth of who they were in their high vibe Taurus energy, acting with more character and integrity, they would, out of love, be able to maintain better balance within themselves and in the relationship and do more equal give and take. But again, some people harness these energies in a shadowy way. They want to be in a relationship, but they want to keep juggling the truth that of love. Love, oops, got an alarm on my phone. Love is to be just and fair. You're supposed to treat other people the way you like to be treated. And some other people are like, I kind of think shadowy Taurus relationship, it should be a little bit more about me being indulged in some way. And the high vibe people work through their mental conflict about the fact that they could have some love for some people, whether they're their adult child, brother, sister, mom, dad, long-term friend, romantic interest, or whatever, that love is to be just and fair. And you're supposed to treat other people the way you like to be treated. You're supposed to quit indulging, you know, your more shadowy, egoic, immature nature, or being more about yourself, to work together with people more cooperatively in a just and fair way. And if it's romantic, it's supposed to be because of love. And some people don't ever want to do love. They want to make it look like love, quack like love, create the illusion, that's Pisces, create the illusion it's love, but not really do love. And won't you just stay in denial of the truth that it's not really love? They don't really do love. But it looks great by worldly standards. Once you stay stuck in it and keep working with them and keep moving forward with them in a relationship, but you're being authentic and truthful, and they're emotionally kind of wanting to turn their back on the truth. I don't really want to do love. It's like, well, I'm going to let you not really do love with someone else. Or I don't really want to put in work and effort. Say if it's like at a job, it's like, I'm going to let you not really put in work and effort at a different job. And the Two of Pentacles can be then picking up your investment in an old way of living life and viewing life, in your Taurus philosophy of life. Because of this life experience, you don't view life the way you used to. You did expand your perception of yourself and the world around you, and how you view yourself, how you view others, what you think is just and fair in relationships, and maybe just having more hope and faith and belief in yourself and in your dreams, to not settle for the illusion. And you're putting in work and effort to manifest your dreams, and because you're not indulging poor behavior in yourself or others, and you're maintaining balance within yourself, working with other people who maintain balance within themselves, that's how you're going to meet people who are more on the same page as you. What's coming up for people who are harnessing a more worldly, shadowy Gemini energy that they might not see coming up? Oh, so yeah, you have people, when you're aligned more with going with the flow, listening to your intuition, not making decisions more out of fear, insecurity, or codependency, maintaining 2 cards of maintaining balance within yourself, well, actually kind of 3, and aligning with your more hopeful, believing nature, and exchanging resources with other people who are more in that energy. Other people just kind of stay in the friend zone. Eventually, you will meet other people who are more on that same page as you. But there'll always be other people who don't want to do equal give and take in a relationship, don't want to be just and fair, still are more about themselves or things of the world. They're going to keep living life the way they live it. And what's coming up for them that they might not see coming? The Two of Swords. Why? Because of the Five of Swords. So we kind of talked the 5, the 6. This is the 5, the 6, and the 7 are all Aquarius energy. And there's that Two of Swords kind of that I was talking about, is usually kind of a dominant part of the 7 of Swords. Some people, the 5 of Swords, can talk about that people have mental conflict. Some people have a lot of mental conflict about listening to their intuition. We were given, Pisces can represent our more intuitive nature. We were given our intuition to help us navigate in this world, because part of it is that it's kind of our intuition that kind of tells us, you know what, you've kind of learned everything you needed to learn here. You are kind of like at an end of a cycle, and to offer yourself that cup of love, to keep believing in yourself and loving yourself, to go to that next stage of life. But some people could have a lot of mental conflict about that, because it does require them to become more emotionally independent of an old way of living life. And again, we can have friends or family, and we could have a job, and whatever one that it kind of, our intuition is telling us, it's kind of time to move on, because you feel kind of stuck repeating this pattern. They don't listen to their intuition. And then, with Aquarius and this is Aquarius, this is Libra, and then we're talking about Gemini, all 3 of the air signs. They could have is air sign energy of the mind. We can all think, no, 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 no. My intuition might be telling me that, but it's kind of like they don't trust their intuition. And part of it might be because they might have to kind of go through a period of feeling left out in the cold a little bit to be more independent. They also would have to quit being more manipulated by their more worldly nature, and they might really like to kind of emotionally indulge their more worldly nature. And they'd have to more work with their more emotionally intuitive, hopeful, believing, loving nature, and believe that they have more to work with. We live in a world of duality. We do have these things of the world to work with, but we were also given our own unique talent, skills, and interests. We were given our more emotionally intuitive, creative, inspired nature, that we can work with those things. Just like all the other animals in the animal kingdom were given their unique things, and they don't question it. Like a bat has sonar, the bat uses the sonar. But we were given, and that's kind of Virgo energy, that we were given these unique talent, skills, and things within us to utilize and work with in the magician. But some people could have mental conflict about more trusting it. Well, so that can kind of be us and our ego thinking, no, 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 even though a lot of things within them could be telling them, I shouldn't keep doing this, whatever it is. But because they have mental conflict, just about even listening to their intuition, they'd maybe have to do this work within themselves to work through their emotional confusion or their mental conflict, and that all takes work and effort. Then it's like, forget it. I'm just going to do this again. And they kind of go back to maybe being close to closing out a cycle, but but part of it too could just be, they have to keep repeating a cycle as many times as it takes because the truth sets them free. And there could be some truth they don't want to see the truth of. And again, it could be getting balance between their more worldly view of life and their more even connecting in with their emotions or their feelings, and really like to live more from their mind. And, because we are emotionally complex human beings. And some people at some point in time could have decided a long time ago, maybe, that, oh God, it's just too confusing being a human being. We are very emotionally complex human beings. And some people just could have decided, I really don't even want to connect in with my emotions. I'm going to make my life more about doing what seems practical and logical, and it can invest being in relationships, but that can be kind of using their emotions kind of more manipulatively, their sexuality more manipulatively, kind of superficial and shallow, where they don't really invest in growing and maturing those aspects of themselves. And for some, they do kind of just keep kind of being immature. You have to put in work and effort to grow and mature these different aspects of yourself. And some people did, and some people didn't. And some people could think, I don't know what the big deal is, and I don't know why people don't want to more be in a relationship with me. I might have these things of the world. I might kind of look like a shining star in some way. Why aren't more people willing to be in a relationship? Well, people can get in a relationship with them, but then they don't really invest emotionally, and it's just kind of more indulging in it. And other people kind of see the truth of it, and they want to be in relationships with people who are more balanced between their worldly nature of self and their emotional nature of self, to equally be able to manifest from a foundation connected in with their emotions. And Some people are not about that at all. And then there's some people, a really shadowy Five of Swords can be people who want to win at all costs, and it is all about the money, and it is all about more about them, and it's just to get in relationships for how it benefits them. And it can be trying to create an illusion that they're more motivated and inspired by love than they really are. And some people, again, wear a very good false mask, so people don't realize that these people really, it is more all these other things than love. And it can take a long time for people to kind of see the truth of it, because part of them has mental conflict about seeing the truth of it, because then they'd have to move away from it and they'd really like it to work out. But eventually, you see, my dream isn't going to come into reality here. So what they don't see coming is the people in their life who harness a more high vibe Libra, Aquarius, and Gemini nature within themselves. Those people are going to move on. And if they keep being more about themselves, more about the world, want to be more indulged or more immature or manipulative, they'll probably go repeat this pattern with someone else. And if they keep trying to get in relationships with people who, because, sometimes shadowy people, they don't want to be in relationships with people like themselves. I want to go manipulate me, a loving person who maybe doesn't know the truth about me. And I'll go try to get that person to move forward in a relationship. Well, those people can move forward in a relationship, but eventually, they have mental conflict about staying in a relationship with them, because they have these different ideas of what they think is just and fair. And it is more about them or the ego or the image. And again, those people leave. And some of them could be going through that again right now. If someone isn't motivated and inspired more by love, then quit getting in relationships with people who are more motivated by love. Some people would like to be in relationships with people where it is more about the ego and the image and the money. But because they don't want people in their life to see that they're more materialistically motivated, then they go work with people, where it's a more mismatched relationship. Live your damn truth. I think eventually they'll be more surrounded by other people that either still can't make up their minds, still have a lot of mental conflict to work through. And if none of them are willing to do kind of this inner work, and they look to get in a relationship just to feel better, but they don't do this inner work within themselves to work through their own fears and insecurities. And, we can make a lot of things a vice, and some people make getting in a relationship is the answer. And some people keep thinking, I just need to find the right person, and that person will be the answer to all my problems. All my fears, all my insecurities, all my self-limiting beliefs will magically go away, because they don't think that the answer lies within them. It's always to look outside of themselves for the answer. Other people learn the answer lies within themselves. And they got out of their more codependent energy, looking to other people to be the answer. And they learned how to love themselves, value themselves, get balance within themselves. And that's what some people don't understand, and they may never understand it. And they could keep being confused. Why? Also, these things that I make my life about, I go invest in them. I'm sure those things will make me happy. And for a while, those things make me happy. But then I feel stuck and I have a lot of mental conflict and inner conflict. Why the fuck? And it's like, because they're looking to the wrong thing to be the answer. Truth, love, knowing your worth and value, acting with character and integrity, feeling proud of yourself that you're acting with character and integrity, that you're not wearing a false mask, that you are who you say you are. Those are the things that will make a person, feel more stable and grounded within themselves. But making your life about I don't know, living your life when you're not even clear. Living your life and maybe making your life about all these other things or all these other people, or trying to appease all these people or appeal. How about you get clear about what your own damn truth is? And some people have no idea because they're so manipulated by other people or the world, they don't even know. They've kind of forfeited so much of their truth that I don't even know, what would I listen to? What would I do? Where would I go? What would I enjoy? Because it's always about what's everybody else doing? What are they wearing? What are they doing? Who are they hanging out with? We should do that. It's like, how about you invest in you? But anyway, there we go, Gemini. I wish you peace, love, and joy, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.